If you dance with the devil, he'll follow you home. Are y'all sinners? This movie, what? Let's talk about it. Okay, Sinners. In theaters at the time of this recording, it's a lot to unpack. So, disclaimers right off the bat. Number one, spoilers all through it. Number two, Beachside Streams is known for being a first take, one take, first take. Speaking right off the dome, I can't do that with this movie. So I got notes. Disclaimer number three, a lot of y'all not gonna agree with me. You may not agree with me, and that's okay. Disclaimer number four, did I tell you about spoilers? Because, I'm giving some spoilers. You have to have seen this movie to watch this review. Just gonna put that out there. That's disclaimer number four. You have to have seen this movie to watch this review. If you have not, go on and see the movie. Come on back. Let's talk in the chat. There's that. Disclaimer number five. If you're an atheist, you're not gonna like this review. Just gonna put that out there. You'll see. Disclaimer number six. This movie had me all over the place, so this video is gonna be all over the place. I apologize off top. Let's get into it. What was Sinners about? In my opinion, it was about Sammie. The protagonist was not the twins. The protagonist was Sammie, Preacher Boy, the guitar player. That is what I believe. And Smoke and Stack, played by Michael B. Jordan, the twins, and the cousins played a part in Sammie's journey. They were a pivotal part in Sammie's story, so they were definitely important. Both of them were extremely important, but it was still Sammie's journey. And even at the very end, what did Stack tell him? Stack said, Smoke said, I'll let you live if you leave him alone. Family first. Just because we see them alive doesn't mean that they're the main character. What is Sammie's story? Sammie's story is similar to the story from the 1930s about guitarist Robert Johnson. It's similar, not exact, but it's similar. But in the 1930s, down in the Delta, down in Mississippi, there was a guitarist named Robert Johnson. He wanted to be the best guitarist ever, so he made a deal with the devil. Sinners. He made a deal with the devil so the devil could make him the most popular and best guitarist ever. And when he played that guitar, everybody was all up in love. You could hear it miles and miles and miles away, and everybody wanted to see Robert Johnson. Right. Somehow, some way, as the myth legend goes, Robert Johnson died at age 27. Why did he die at age 27? As legend tells it, he got to the crossroads and the devil got his payment. His payment was the death of Robert, the end of the legend guitarist Robert Johnson. Now, this entire story, Robert Johnson's story, is played out in the movie Crossroads that came out back in 1986. So there's a part a lot of times within the movie Crossroads when Robert plays his guitar, it's almost like spirits come out of nowhere and people just act all crazy and wild and whoa. In Sinners, when Sammie played his guitar, the audience were transcended to the ancestors. We were transcended to the future because there were turntables and people twerking in 1932. We were transcended to the future. We transcended continents. We saw Asian history. We saw African history. We were transcended. The first time that Sammie played that guitar, his magical guitar, well, it wasn't magical to him. His beautiful guitar gifted to him by the twins. The twins gave him that guitar and they opened the juke joint. And when they introduced him, when Delroy Lindahl, the awesome Delroy Lindahl, introduced Sammie, his name is Delta Slim in the movie, but anyway, he introduced Sammie, Preacher Boy, and Preacher Boy started singing, baby, them vocals was awesome. Yes, and vocals were vocaling, but that guitar is what transcended us. And Ryan Coogler, being the writer and the director of this film, took us there. So again, we went to the ancestors, we went to the future with turntables and people twerking, and the women that were twerking next to the African ancestors that were doing spiritual dance. And so there's that similarity and there's that congruency between Crossroads from 1986 and Sinners from 2025. Now, where am I going with all this? Shonda Rhimes said, the awesome Shonda Rhimes said to writers, she did an Instagram post and she said to writers, find a story that you like, put your spin on it. And make a new story. In a way, Ryan did Crossroads in his way, but not really, because Crossroads made a deal with the devil. In Sinners, Sammie did not make a deal with the devil. Sammie did not make a deal with the devil. Sammie just wanted to innocently play his guitar. So Sammie leaves his daddy's church, teams up with the Sinners, which are Smoke and Stack, the twins, plays his music, and then all hell breaks loose because here come the vampires. Here come the vampires, the devil. Here come the vampires, the Sinners also. And then everybody dies, or do they? You know what? I told you, I'm spoiling it. Everybody dies, but Sammie goes back home. Sammie goes back home, and when he goes back home, we go back to the beginning of the movie. His daddy said, basically, welcome back, and he didn't bring the devil with him. He danced with the devil, but he didn't bring the devil home because he went back to God. So that is where I am going with this. That is why I said atheists will not like this review, because to me, Sinners was a spiritual journey that Sammie had to go on to realize. Okay, here we go with the Christian and the spiritual and the religious. God will give you the desires of your heart. I said it. Yep. There is a scripture. You delight yourself in the Lord, he will give you the desires of your heart. Sammie's sole desire was to play the guitar and be known for playing the guitar. His second desire was to get up to Chicago. So after all of the vampire stuff happens and he gets back to his daddy and stays with his daddy, the preacher, at the very end of the movie, if y'all stayed after the credits, you'd see Sammie ends up an 80-something-year-old man playing his guitar with them scratches on his face up in Chicago. He fulfilled the desires of his heart because he was playing his guitar like he wanted to, and he got to Chicago like he wanted to, and he is 80 years old, a happy man, even though he still has nightmares about that night. What night? Now, okay, let's get into the movie. So that's what the movie's about. But what night we talking about? The night all hell broke loose. Smoke and Stack, the twins, Sammie's first cousins, they come down from Chicago. They were in the Delta before. They ain't nothing but sinners, because one of them killed their daddy. Sin number one, murder. Then they went into, they were drafted to the war, World War I, okay? You can call that a sin if you want to. And then they went on up to Chicago and was messing around with Al Capone, mafioso Al Capone. I'm a big Italian mafia junkie. So Al Capone, yay. And the Irish mafia up there too. They was messing with them, sin, because they living illegally. Sin. So, and then they killed some folks up there for the mafia people. Sin. So then Smoke and Stack come on back down. Now they didn't have relationships out of wedlock. They didn't had fornication. Sin. So Smoke and Stack are the sinners, along with pretty much everybody else in the movie, except for Sammie. Sammie's not necessarily a sinner. He's just a lost soul for the most part. Even the vampires, you already know that they sinners. So, okay. Smoke and Stack come on back down to the Delta, because now they got this money because they stole from the mafia. Sin again, because they stole from the mafia. So they come on back down to the Delta because they're running. They're hiding. this is the safest place for them because they know them Italians and those Irish mafia people are not going to find them down there. They're not even trying to. They're not even coming back down there. However, you still got to deal with racism because it's 1932. So you still got to deal with hella racism. You still got to deal with Ku Klux Klan in the hoods, not them out of the hoods like they are now. But anyway, no comment. So now we have a movie. Now we have the connection because they're first cousins. So Smoke and Stack, they go on and they pick up Sammie. And then they go on into the city and they start to build their juke joint. So that's what we're seeing for the first hour. They're building their juke joint. And at one point we see one of the twins, Smoke, shoot two people. Right there in the middle of the street. Boldly shoot two people right there in the middle of the street. Sin. But anyway, so that all happened. Okay, fine, and great and wonderful. So that's the first hour of the movie. The second hour of the movie, we have the juke joint is open. And everybody is in there dancing all wrong. Okay, fine and great. Sin. But once, like I said before, once he plays that guitar, the vampire comes because he heard the guitar. But my question, was the vampire possibly chasing the twins too? That was never addressed. But what was addressed was the vampire heard the music and wanted Sammie. He told them, I'm here for Sammie, which again made me think of Crossroads. Again, Robert Johnson, myth, legend, whatever, 1932, down in the Delta. See the congruency? See how I mix that all together? So now that's the movie. That's what the movie is all about. Now, let's break some stuff down. If you're still here. Let's break some stuff down. What, shall we? So we already told you about, because I told you I had to have some notes because this movie was a lot. Ryan Coogler, now I fell in love with his work on Fruitvale Station, which is an excellent movie. Everybody needs to see it. Get ready for the tears because it's based on a true story up in Oakland. Just gonna get that out there. Fast forward, movies later. Now we got this one. He describes this movie. Ryan Coogler, the writer and director, describes Sinners as a cinematic gumbo. Let's say that again. A cinematic gumbo. He also describes it as genre fluid. So with him saying those two phrases, but he doesn't know how to classify it. Now, some people were classifying it as a horror film, a horror adventure film, a horror musical. Yeah, when have you heard that phrase? And some people were classifying it as fiction. Just left it alone because they were even lost. But Ryan Coogler, the dude that wrote it and directed it, calls it a cinematic gumbo. Do you know what goes in gumbo? Everything. Almost. But a lot. So if the writer and director is calling it a cinematic gumbo, that totally makes sense why it was all over the place. Entertaining as it was all over the place. Now, I do not like scary movies. I do not do vampire movies. When it comes to vampire movies, my experience with vampire movies is low. Very, 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 very low. My favorite vampire movie of all time is Lost Boys, came out like in the 80s. And then my next favorite movie is Interview with the Vampire with Tom Cruise and whoever else was in it. This vampire movie, the first 20 minutes, I jumped like 4 times and closed my eyes once and still hadn't even seen the vampires. I'm just a scary person when it comes to these movies. That's why I don't watch them. But everybody kept saying, go see it. It's great. It's good. Oh my God. I am sharing my popcorn and giving my thumbs up and not at the same time. Yep, I said it, not at the same time, because Beachside Streams scales the entertainment factor. Yes, we do. Yes, I do. So the entertainment factor was mid. That's why I'm giving it a thumbs down. I'm sharing my popcorn either way, but that's why I'm giving it a thumbs down. I'm giving it a thumbs up because the historical and cultural references were great. The way Ryan touched on all 5 senses, fantastic. Ryan is very intentional with what he does and how he does it, especially when he writes it. He's very intentional. So there's one scene And there are two scenes that come to mind that I gotta talk about. And they're not gonna be the scenes that y'all think they're gonna be. I can tell you that right now. So the first scene, Stack and Preacher Boy are in the car. Stack tells Preacher Boy how to perform oral sex. And a lot of people, now the theater that I saw it in was packed. A lot of people didn't get it. Me, on the other hand, I got it as soon as he said it, and I cracked up laughing. That's another thing about this movie. I laughed. I laughed a whole lot more than I thought I was going to laugh. It is not scary. I am so happy I am here to say that. The way that Stack explains the art of oral sex to Preacher Boy is hilarious. That's what I mean by Ryan touching on these senses. He takes us through touch with this one because Stack is telling Preacher Boy how to orally please a woman. That's touch. Okay. And then later on in the movie, we see Preacher Boy testing it out. More importantly, we see the reaction of the work. Very accurate, by the way. Just gonna put that out there. So that is one way that Ryan brings us in on our senses, and a lot of people missed it. A lot of people didn't know what Stack was talking about in that car ride along those cotton fields. A lot of people missed it, but it was so pivotal. Well, not pivotal. It was so important to catch because later on, when Preacher Boy is telling old girl, married by the way, sin, adultery, when he's telling old girl what he's getting ready to do, he explains he wants to try something that he heard about. He just won't try it. The second one that I want to talk about that probably nobody else will, when Delroy Lindo, Delta Slim, is in the car with, I think it was still Stack. He was in the car, one of them twins. And Preacher Boy was in the back. So yeah, it was Stack because Preacher Boy was in the back. He was telling how he lost his friend, how his friend was murdered. Okay. What a lot of people missed, even in the theater that I was in, they didn't catch it. But again, Ryan is intentional. While Delta Slim, Delroy Lindo, is telling this story, well, if you listen, you will faintly hear the audio version of the murder. You will hear the fight. You will hear the scuffling of a fight. You will hear the yells. You will hear the cries and screams. You will hear the music. It's faintly there, but you literally have to sit in the theater and just listen. Your focus has to be completely on the screen to hear it. And again, touching on our senses. Ryan did that. The man is very intentional. So he touched on our senses, and in those two areas, in those two specific parts of the movie, he definitely was, I'm pretty sure he'll agree with me. And if y'all know him, I would love to interview him one-on-one with no cameras around. Him and his wife. I want to interview him and his wife, because I got some questions for her too. The movie was crazy. It was very intentional. So he touched on our senses with that. Like, oh, there's a third one. Somebody at one point inside the juke joint, they tell Annie hotter than fish grease, and the camera pans over to the bubbling, boiling fish grease. Again, touching on our senses to bring us in, to make us feel it in a different way, feel what's happening in this movie. That's why I'm giving it a thumbs up, because Ryan was very intentional with everything that he did, and he touched on all 5 senses: see, touch, taste, smell, hear. We got all of that. Now, because there's more, because remember, I got notes. Romans 1:18-32. It's the wrath of God on these sins. 18-32 pretty much depicts every sin that was happening inside of the juke joint. Whoa. What, Ryan? Oh my God. Now, Ryan said when he did this movie, he loves, again, genre fluid, and he loves horror movies. So, but he also said that he talked to his uncle from Mississippi and got some information and got some history that he didn't know anything about. And he also said that he looked into some religions. So there's examples of the Yoruba religion and some other religions fused together within this artisan film, as AMC has labeled it. AMC has given Sinners the gold frame to say that it is an artisan film. So, okay. Again, I told you, atheists will not like this review. Now, so I did that. Okay, until they fix the card, disagrees, stack about oral sex, consequences from running from God and family. Okay, so basically, that's for the most part, that's pretty much it. I mean, like I said at the very beginning, this to me was a spiritual movie, and there were so many references, but from beginning to end, the beginning and the end are what sealed the deal. We start the movie in the church, goes off to sin, comes back to church. Once he comes back to church, then he was able to get the desires of his heart fulfilled, as we saw at the very end of the movie after the credits. Now, Coochie sweater. A Coochie sweater. I kept seeing reviews and comments talking about a Coochie sweater, a Coochie sweater, a Coochie sweater, a Coochie sweater. And I was like, Coochie sweaters were in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. Why are they talking about Coochie sweaters? This movie is 1932. If you stayed until the very end, you saw that Coochie sweater. Because you saw, like I said earlier, you saw Preacher Boy, Sammie, scars on his face, 80-something years old, playing his guitar up in Chicago. And who walks in? Stack and Mary in the 90s, dressed in 90s gear, late 80s, early 90s, dressed all in 90s gear, high top A, everything, Coochie sweater. And that entire part of the movie is what made me really like this movie, because it closed all the loops. Another theme from this movie, other than freedom, that's another theme that I got from this, but I didn't really get that until the very end when Stack mentioned it, when Stack and Sammie had this conversation. And that's when I got the freedom part, because as Stack said, that was the only night that he really felt free. And the Preacher Boy said, me too. So I got that from that. But if you didn't see the movie after the credits, that movie sucked. Because if the ending sucks, the movie sucks. And if you left the theater as soon as the credits started rolling, the movie sucked to you. I think my niece called it garbage, but I don't know if she saw the whole thing or not. I don't know. But I called it garbage because the credits had started rolling. But I remember my pole sister, I used to take pole classes. So I remember my pole sister telling me, stay until the very end. Stay after the credits. So I'm happy she told me that, because as the credits started rolling, this movie sucked. Once the credits were over and I saw those last 5 minutes, this movie is very good. It's very good. I don't think it's so good like some other people have told me. I disagree with that. So yeah, that's me. I think it was palpable. And I do think that it was a good movie. I do think Ryan stuck his foot in this script and this and the directing of it all. I do agree with that. But it was the presentation of it all. That it was too jumbly and it was too jumpy around, and it wasn't as smooth as Ryan has been in the past. For him to be the director, it wasn't as smooth as he's been in the past. And what happened to the Indians? We saw the Indians at midpoint of the movie, and we never see them again. I wanted the Indians to help. I wanted the Indians to come back and help. What happened to them? We never saw them again. Did they die? What? I got questions. And then too, what I loved, this is 1932 in Mississippi. When we saw Smoke going to the store to get the stuff for the juke joint, on one side of the street are all the black stores. On the other side of the street are all the white stores. But the Asian people were on both sides. Did y'all peep that? Dude and his daughter over here with the black people. When she went to go get mom, she crossed that street and got mom from over on the white people's side. That's a message in and of itself. Again, historical value, cultural reference, all of those things. But that's interesting. And that's intentional. That's intentional. So again, that's it. Entertainment value was mid. I can see why some people didn't like it, especially if they left while the credits were rolling and they never saw the very end of the movie. But because I did, I'm sharing my popcorn and giving my thumbs up because it was a cinematic gumbo. Yep, it was a cinematic gumbo. And I mean, I have other notes, but I'm gonna end it here because it's long enough. I can think of one person for sure that's gonna disagree with me. But for the most part, I know a lot will, and I get it. Interpretation is personal, perception is personal. At the same time, this movie was about Sammie. It wasn't about the twins. It was about Sammie. Don't get me wrong, Annie and Mary had their storylines too, but they weren't the main plot. They weren't. And if you really, I know some people that have seen this movie 2, 3, 4, 5 times. If you were really paying attention, the plot was not the twins. Just gonna put that out there. Just because we see them a lot doesn't mean that they were the main character. We saw Michael B. Jordan all through this movie, but I still think the movie was not about Michael B. Jordan or Jordan's character. Jordan's characters, because he played the twins. It was about Sammie and Family First, his cousins, helping Sammie's dream come true through their dream. Not even their dream, through their run from the mafia. Down in the description are YouTube links that I think will be helpful to understanding how I came to my conclusion. Professor Cinephile, her review of this movie is roughly is a little over 2 hours, but so she digs deep into the blaxploitation side of things, the cultural references side of things, but within those 2 hours plus, it was a pretty good review of this movie, cultural reference, historical reference based, put it that way. And then there is The Breakfast Club, Ryan Coogler's interview with The Breakfast Club, and also there is Ryan's interview with Democracy Now!, and then there's the Ryan interview with another podcaster. I think it was Mashable. I'm not sure about that, but all of those links are down in the description. I urge you to watch all of them. Some of them are 20 minutes. Professor Cinephile is over 2 hours, but I urge you to watch them all. 3 of them are directly from the mouth of Ryan Coogler, writer and director. Intentional. Okay, now comment below, let me know. Do you agree, disagree? Did you like it? Did you not? Why? I want to know. I have questions, you have answers. All right, y'all, that's a wrap. Beachside Streams is an extension of Writing Waves. Need words that flow like the ocean? Writing Waves, where no wave is the same, crafts compelling content for every need.